When Apple released the M1 iPad Pro, there was a lot of hype, especially in the video editing community. Apple has, for the last few years, made silicon that has been high-powered and highly capable. For example, the A12 chip has no problem editing 4K footage on the old iPad Air 3 or even of the old iPhones. But with new improvements, has Apple been able to keep up that consistency? Has video editing become more intuitive with iPadOS 15 and the M1 chip? In today's video, I'll be discussing all that and more. But before I get into the video, I'm going to kindly ask you guys to subscribe to my channel if you find this video useful. I do a lot of conversations surrounding Apple topics, and I'm also doing a HomePod Mini or a MagSafe power bank giveaway. To enter, you simply need to subscribe, comment below letting me know you've subscribed or your thoughts on the video, and that's it, you're entered. Let's get into it. The M1 chip was Apple's way of bridging the gap between the iPad lineup and the MacBook lineup. Or so we thought. While the M1 chip is next level for video editing in terms of power, a lot of people were hoping that the iPad will get Final Cut, as it definitely has the power to run it efficiently. But after we've recovered from our pain and sorrow, it became clear that the iPad can indeed edit 4K footage efficiently. In fact, it's something we always knew. So I figured I'd try to pack minimal and leave my MacBook behind on my recent trip to Vancouver, Canada, and only rely on the iPad for video editing. Now, of course, there are a few things you will need in order to edit video on an iPad Pro with the M1 chip. These are the things I brought with me. You'll need a USB-C cord or a USB-C hub. This allows you to connect your media to the iPad, whether you're using a USB-C hub or plugging directly into the camera, which is something I ended up doing. You'll also need video editing software that's up to the task. The one I chose was LumaFusion, which is honestly the best option available on the iPad. It has cool features such as an intuitive timeline editor, color grading features, titles and overlays, and more. You also need an Apple Pencil or a wireless mouse. I use the MX Master 3 or the Apple Pencil 2. These are not absolutely required, but it will make video editing a lot easier. So on my trip, I brought the MagSafe charger with me to use on my trip and to stay connected and charged up. I made a video on that which is linked below, and the entire video was edited on my iPad Pro, and I have some observations and things I truly missed from Final Cut Pro. I missed being able to add track titles to the footage. If you don't know what track titles are, it's something like this or something like this. This makes the footage or whatever product I'm talking about a bit more engaging. I also miss being able to edit on a full 4K screen and have that extra screen real estate. Although there was no monitor around, the fact that the iPad gets black bars on the screen truly sucks. It makes it a lot harder to use. And I also ran out of storage space on the iPad Pro and had to delete Lightroom. This is no longer a problem with the latest LumaFusion update, but I thought I'd mention it. Things were not all bad. I found that my editing style changed slightly and a little bit for the better, but I was able to make better video cuts to videos and be able to be more precise. I found that I did not overall feel that things were lacking, and for the videos that I make, I was able to do about 70% of my usual editing tricks. Another positive was the size. I was able to edit in bed, edit on the couch, edit on the toilet. Okay, I'm just kidding. Basically, I can edit on the go, and while I can always do that with the laptop, in terms of form factor, the iPad rules, and you definitely notice it when you're editing for long hours at a time. Let's talk about performance. I had a 2019 MacBook Pro and used to edit videos on them. I can say that the experience was horrible with the beach ball of death spinning all the time on that thing. But with the M1 iPad Pro, I was able to edit videos so smooth, I couldn't believe it wasn't butter. Okay, corny joke, but you get the point. Editing high quality 4K footage shot on my Sony that was imported, sliced up, and exported without an issue was so easy on the M1 iPad. The iPad did not freeze, and I had no real hiccups when editing. This speaks to the power of the M1 chip, but also Apple's processing power for the last few years. These things can handle things some older, more powerful computers would stutter on. Moving on to iPad OS 15 and the Final Cut dilemma. This will probably be my last time speaking of this because it still hurts. I'm kidding, but a lot of people, including myself, were bummed that Apple did not release Final Cut on the iPad Pro. But the truth is, we don't need it. LumaFusion is good enough and powerful enough to handle video editing. In fact, there are a lot of other YouTubers who use the iPhone as their main camera and the iPad Pro as their main video editing device. And a lot of them have built successful YouTube channels using just the iPad Pro. So for me, iPad OS 15 not having Final Cut was initially a burn, but I'm coming around to accept that Apple does not want to mix up their iPad lineup and computer lineup for obvious reasons. So overall, my experience with editing on the iPad was pretty positive, except that the YouTube app won't allow you to upload 4K files on the iPad, but I digress. You can edit 4K footage without an issue, as with all of the recent iPads. Personally though, I'm just spoiled with the MacBook Air over there and also Final Cut Pro, but I can definitely see this working for me in the future perhaps. Do you edit 4K videos on your iPad Pro, or are you sticking with a laptop? Let me know your thoughts on the video and subscribe to win a HomePod Mini or a MagSafe charger. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.